I'm here with Dawson, one of the most knowledgeable people in the world of darts. So therefore it's a great honor and a great pleasure to talk to you, Dan. Thank you so much.
Shut up, Daniel. Don't be daft. You know as much as I do, if not more.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but thank you so much.
Not a national team coach, me, pal. Not a national team coach. One of us is.
Well, let's talk a bit more about you, because you are, of course, a commentator for the PDC and Sky during the World Championship, but you also travel around the world covering the Euro Tour and the Players' Championships Tour. What is it that excites you so much about darts that you have pretty much dedicated your whole life, other than just your work life, to this sport?
Look, I love the game, but I love the stories. It's the story. That's what sport is. It's not just, yes, all right, it's who wins, who loses, but you see these people chasing their dreams and sometimes achieving their dreams and sometimes from real adversity. You know, that's what sport gives us. Whatever sport you follow, whether it's football or darts or handball or whatever it is that gets played in Denmark regularly, you have these stories, and that's what's compelling. It's triumph over adversity. Sometimes it's tragedy. Look, I mean, take the World Championship. Kevin Dutz on the opening night. Yes, all right, you nearly beat the world champion. The big game was the first one. He saved his tour card, and that he's gone from nearly being kicked off the tour, if he'd lost that opening game against Stoke once, to very nearly producing this incredible shot. The first time it's seen a world champion beaten at the first stage of the tournament since 2009, only our second year at Ali Pali. I just think it's compelling, it's interesting, and what's different about darts compared to, say, football? I mean, I used to work in football and other sports like that. That's what I always wanted to do as a kid. But these are real people. These are normal people that you'd meet in the pub or in town or whatever. They're your friends. They're normal people who live normal lives, and they get to do extraordinary things in amazing places like Ali Pali.
And this is the second day in Ali Pali this year. Yesterday, the big story, of course, was Michael Smith coming through his first game. There was worrying signs after a few disappointing months. To be honest, were you surprised to see him play as well as he did?
No, I wasn't actually. I think it's been a bit overblown. I know lots of people are saying, oh, it's his new darts, he can't throw his new darts, and he's nowhere near as good, and he's been rubbish this year. Blokes won a Euro Tour, blokes won a World Series event, blokes won a floor event. He's still really good, and we always knew, for years and years now, Michael Smith can turn up in a particular tournament and be the best player in that tournament. What he's never done, at no point in his career, is be consistent all the way through the year. Even last year, where he had a great sort of 6 weeks where he won the Grand Slam and the World Championship, he'd had a great 5 or 6 weeks earlier in the year where he won a whole bunch of stuff. There was a lot of average stuff in between as well. He's always been that kind of player, and even here at Ali Pali, after winning the world title, we said, I'm not going to be the next Van Gogh. I'm not going to go and win half the titles every year. I'm not going to win 20, 25 titles over the course of a year. He's not that kind of player. Luke Humphries might be. Luke Humphries might be, because you've seen what he's been doing, the consistent levels of performance he's been putting in. Michael Smith's not going away. He's always going to be a threat, and I think he's a threat to win this. I think he's got a very difficult route, but he's always capable of winning any individual tournament.
Then let's talk about Luke Humphries. I mean, you can't not talk about Luke Humphries. Do you think he has the potential to be as dominant in the sport as MVG has been in the past? And if not, I can already see what you want to say, but do you think there will ever be a player who will be as dominant as MVG, prime MVG, Phil Taylor, Eric Bristow?
I don't know. Luke Humphries looks like he could be. I think Luke Humphries, Van Gerwen could get back to somewhere near his best. I think Gerwyn Price has got the capability to do that. We've seen him do it in spells of a couple of months or whatever, where he's just, you're the best player. But it's freakish what Van Gerwen did, 2016, 2017. It's freakish what Taylor did for a freakishly long time. They are incredible players. There were greats of the game like Gary Anderson, for example, who, there was such a long while where he was so good, and he's playing really well again now. But even then, he never dominated because there's so much strength. And I know it's a well-trodden point. The strength in depth is better than ever. It's harder now to win lots of things. But I think if another MVG does come along, another MVG, prime MVG dominates because he was that unbelievable. It would just be weeks and weeks and weeks where he just could not be beaten, and everybody knew it. And I think that gave him a head start almost in games. I would never say somebody's going to be the next Michael van Gerwen, because I don't know when or if we'll see another player come through like that and be so good for so long. But Luke Humphries could be the leading player. He could be the dominant force. I don't think he could be as dominant as Michael van Gerwen. If he does, then he's going to be a very wealthy man.
He probably will anyway.
yeah, he will be.
Yeah.
True.
But this being a Danish media, of course, I have to ask you about Vladimir Andersen. Now, of course, he's not a tour card holder anymore, but what has been your overall thoughts of his 24 months on the Pro Tour?
I mean, a little disappointed, I have to say, but at the same time, he's gone and done something we've not seen before. He's the first Danish player to go and get his tour card at Q School. And hopefully that's the start, not just for Danish players in general, but for Vladimir himself. There are plenty of players who've got on the tour, dropped off it, had to work on their game and come back stronger. I mean, look, it was right here at Ali Pali that Nathan Aspinall, having dropped off the tour, had a year on the Challenge Tour, came here and reached the semi-finals. Then another semi-final, won the UK Open, and now the World Match Play champion. It doesn't mean it's the end for Vladimir. I think it was a very, very steep learning curve for him. I think he realised that this is really, really hard, and he now knows how good he's going to have to be. I have to say, I absolutely loved his enthusiasm for things, like when he qualified for his first Euro Tour and stuff like that. The guy's obviously got talent, but there are a lot of talented players. There are a lot of talented players on the tour. There are a lot of talented players not even on the tour. I mean, you saw some of the stuff at Lakes. Andy Bartons, what a player he is. Jelle Klaassen hasn't been on the tour for years, and he's still a quality player. I hope it's the start of something for Vladimir and for Danish darts in general. I mean, you know far more than I in terms of the players coming up. I've obviously seen a few of them with Toft Jorgensen and Benjamin Drew Royce, all that sort of stuff. But I'm hoping that Vladimir has at least put some footsteps down that others can follow, and hopefully he can get back as well and really show what he is capable of.
So you just mentioned Benjamin Drew Royce, and he is the big name in Danish darts right now back home. We have seen him for the last few months being able to average around 90 for a whole tournament back home. If he goes to Q School and averages around 85 to 90, which is pretty much where his level is at the moment, how do you rate his chances at winning a tour card?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, look, Krzysztof Ratajski went to Q School and couldn't get a card. Callan Ritz went to Q School and couldn't get a card for a long while. Being one of the best, let's say, 15 players, if there are 15 cards to be given out, does not necessarily mean you're going to get one of those cards. You need a bit of luck. It is not a lottery. Obviously, being good is a really big factor in whether you come through Q School, but there is an element of chance involved. I think he has got a chance if he's able to do that, but I also think that a bit like Vladimir, Vladimir got his tour card, he realised he needed to be better. I think the best place to improve and get better is on the tour, and the person I would look at as the example of that is Mensur Suljovic, because Mensur Suljovic, we all knew he had quality, but he was only really playing regularly against the best players over and over again, where he saw him get better and better and better, the point where he became a major champion and a match play finalist and did all these amazing things for Austrian darts. If you can have a Danish Mensur turn up who can get on the tour, establish themselves, win things and be a threat in major tournaments, then hopefully that inspires more people to play, and Denmark can become more of a force in the sport, in the same way that Austria has, in the same way that perhaps Belgium is doing.
And one last word on Danish darts, because you have been to Copenhagen a few times covering the World Series and even the European Tour. What has been your thoughts about the Danish darting culture when you have been to these tournaments?
I absolutely love the atmosphere. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, admittedly, they are helped by, I can't remember the guy's name, but the madman they get on stage to just shout and scream at them. It's like being at some sort of weird political rally, but a friendly one. I like it. I think that it's one of the things I love about this sport. It's why the Euro Tour is the greatest tour in professional sport. We get to go and play this game in front of big crowds all over Europe, and they do have different identities. The German crowds are different from the Belgian ones, or different from the Danish ones, but the Danish ones are loud, man. And like listening to full beats, getting ready for an afternoon's arrows, it's good, and I like it. And to be honest, I've been quite disappointed. I think the work that the guys in Denmark have done to get PDC events there every year has been great. I mean, I know. Oh my word!
Yeah, Michael,
yes, of course. Michael's put in loads of work, and I think that they're a credit. You know, they've really helped, because you want to have showpiece events. You want to have those things where the Danish fans can get that taste of what the PDC atmosphere is like. But I'm a little bit disappointed. I want a Euro Tour. I want a Scandinavian Euro Tour as well as the World Series event, because I think that there seems to be an appetite for it. They always sell out the tickets. The atmosphere is always great, and having a ranking event there, we can get some Scandinavian, Nordic and Baltic players through, whether it's all Danes or whether we share it out across the whole Nordic and Baltic region. I think that's good, and I think it's important. But as we see with the Euro Tour, that is growing. We're going into different countries. Switzerland this year, an extra one in Belgium. I'm hoping that we can see a sort of Scandinavian event, whether it's Denmark or Sweden or wherever.
And then one last question. Who wins the World Darts Championship 2024?
Do you want the boring answer, or do you want my hipster pick?
The hipster pick is always my favourite.
Dave Chisnell versus Ross Smith in the final. A million 180s, and Chizzy gets his first major. Boring answer, Luke Humphries.
Good. Thank you so much, Dan. That's all.
Worries, man.
That's great. Thank you so much.